Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, gaming degenerates of all ages, welcome to the inaugural edition of A Winner Is You, where we are talking gaming, all things gaming, video games, board games, game shows, I don't know. We'll decide eventually on what we want to talk about for each episode as things happen. This is episode 1. I am DPP. That's right. It's me. You may have heard me from other podcasts. I am actually going to attempt to host a podcast for the first time ever. So bear with me. This is all new for me as well. And it's new for all my podcast guests here. We're all noobs in a way, but not noobs to the ways of gaming. These guys are all professional gamers, in a sense, I guess, right?
Yes.
Let's bring everybody in.
Semi-pro.
Well, semi-pro. Let's hear it for Dukes. He just won a giant check that says $10,000.
Yes.
So those voices you have heard, we'll bring them in one by one at least. Welcome, Sean, to the podcast. Sean.
Howdy.
Adam.
Happy to be here.
The bearded man himself. Grizzly Adams had a
Yes,
beard.
as you can clearly see through the audio.
Yeah.
It is a wonderful beard.
We like to give people visuals, That's how that works. They can't see you, but we can, unfortunately.
Make sure it's Grizzly Adams, so it's not a big patchy beard. Make it look real good.
And also Drew, welcome.
Present.
And accounted for. And accounted for.
Enthusiasm, I like it. We're starting off good.
I know you guys are all very excited for your very first episode. This is awesome, and I had to clap because I have a mosquito right in my face. So look at that. Already the first casualty of the podcast.
That's content right there.
Clip it. Get that on the TikToks.
Post it.
Sean knows. He's a social media guy.
Click the bell.
We also have a bell, too, just in case you guys don't know. We have a bell.
There we go.
So
You didn't mention that before we started.
that's a
I
surprise.
was not prepared for the bell.
That was a surprise. If you ever listen to the DWI podcast, you know the shenanigans that will happen on my side of the board, let me tell you. All
I
right,
need to
guys.
match your bits. I'm going to need a soundboard.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk. We'll talk.
We don't have a soundboard, so anything you hear is coming out of DPP over there.
That's right. Well, I got plenty of sounds to make this thing obnoxious, which is what we normally do around here.
That's good.
All right, so we're going to get this thing going right away. We're going to talk about, as I like to call it, what's going to be on the gaming board for tonight's episode. First of all, we got to talk introductions. I mean, nobody knows who you are yet, right? So we got to tell everybody, who you are and where you came from. What's your favorite video games? What you like playing growing up? What you like playing now? I got to do the same thing. People know me, maybe, but people don't know my video game background, except for what I've done on the Bandwagon Nerds, which is minimal. We did a top 50 gaming, but nobody knows the history of my gaming as well. So we'll all talk a little bit of gaming history. That's going to take up a lot of this first episode, so everybody gets to know who we are and where we came from. We're also going to talk a little bit about the Steam Game Festival Summer Edition that's going on right now. That's, not going on right now, I guess. It's going to start on June 16th through the 22nd, where you can see some demos and things like that. And probably our last topic is going to be that little PS5 event that may have happened the day we're recording today, where we got a little glimpse into what the PS5 is going to look like. So, let's get this thing kicked off, and we're going to need a theme to start our normal show. So I want you guys to think about that, because I do not have one ready. So, we're just going to go right into it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk some introductions. Let's talk about our young days of gaming. I wanted to go, unfortunately, oldest to youngest for the most part, because unfortunately that's me, because I'm the oldest, right?
That's fair.
I think we did establish that, yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
We talked, unfortunately, in great length.
You are the oldest.
But I figured not many people are going to have the same experience I did on this of you guys, of where I started when it came to gaming. So, and then I figured once we get into every one of your guys' different topics of where you started, we can really dig into this thing, and we're going to have a lot of back and forth action on that. So I want to start with me, I guess, and talk about the first memories of gaming that I've had. So, oh boy, I can't even remember the year, I guess. But the first thing I remember, and I still have it right up there, and it's called a ColecoVision with an Atari attachment that I remember playing with my brother. And that is the first memory of my gaming, was having that and playing Asteroids. And if you guys ever played Asteroids in the arcades, or anything like that, you remember it was kind of all black and white. It had the white, basically potato chips, I called them. The one for the Atari wasn't quite the same. It still had the big potato chips, but they were bigger, but it didn't have the spaceships. It didn't have anything like that. It was just those in probably more of an abundance than what was in the arcade. But it was in color, which was very different. And I remember playing that game and remembering that, there was, the score just ran up. There wasn't like there wasn't a goal or an end or anything like that. Basically, the goal of the game was to flip the score back to 0. And I remember playing that with my brother and basically trading off the controller because we didn't want to die and we didn't want to stop playing because my mom would call and say, "Hey, it's time for dinner." And we'd sit there and go, no, wait, just a couple more minutes. We just need to flip the score one more time. And that was, that was it. That was the goal. Get that score back to 0. And it was so much fun, as basic of a game as it was. That was my earliest memories of playing games, was that game. Sean? Oh, no, wait, who's the next one? That would be Drew. Drew would be next. Can you tell me your first memories that you can remember of gaming?
Earliest gaming memories. So I think it's probably going to be the original NES. Probably early 90s, late 80s. Playing Mario. Probably Mario 1, I guess, to begin it off. That's really where it all started. And I remember Mario... Was it Mario 1 or Mario 3 that came on the same pack with Duck Hunt? Which one was that?
That was Super Mario Brothers. That was the original.
Okay, so
yeah.
That was the game, was Mario and Duck Hunt, flipping back and forth between those two. I think that was probably the earliest memory of gaming. It's weird. It's I'm as you know, and I'm sure as we'll get to talk about more later, I'm such a Zelda guy now and the later Zeldas, but the first Zelda, I guess, never really grabbed me like it did other people. In fact, the first time I played the original Zelda was this year.
Get out of here!
It's on. Yeah, it's out now on the Switch. You can get the Virtual Console for NES, and so I finally played through it with a buddy just this year. The original Zelda. It just never captured me back then. It was more, I think, Duck Hunt, because it had a gun. That was the fun thing to do.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I'm from Texas. I get you.
So, I think that's probably the earliest memories, just playing NES, Mario and Duck Hunt, as well as a few other games. But that's probably it for me.
That was, I can't believe you didn't play Zelda. I know you're a big Zelda fan, and that was one of the earliest ones for me when I got that NES was Zelda, and the fact that it actually had, it had memory in there that you could save your game without some 112-digit password that you needed. It was pretty awesome.
That's right.
Nice.
I had that too, even though I am like a third of your guys' ages. I remember having that and not understanding. I was not old enough to understand how to play that style video game yet. But I remember playing Zelda, and it was like picking up trees, and we never, I think, progressed past the first level because we didn't know what to do. We just were like, "Oh, this is fun," and then you play that for a bit, and that'd be it.
Well, there's no guidance. That was back then when there was. You couldn't go online to find it. They didn't tell you where to go. You had to figure it out.
I need that quest marker.
Yeah, I need the game to guide me along. I don't want to actually play. It's like watching a movie.
It came as paper maps in the box. You'd have a paper maps, or you'd have to do Nintendo Power magazine, and you'd get tips and tricks from that. Like that's all you had. There's no internet. What are you gonna do?
That was it. I remember the NES that I got for Christmas came with that whatever, I forget what the book was called, but it was a book that was like 300 pages that had all those different games, and it had one on Zelda of the map and would point you to kind of where the levels were and things like that, and that was it. Otherwise, you had Nintendo Power to help you.
Didn't they have like a hotline you could call?
They did.
Might have been.
That's amazing.
They used to have a hotline when Nintendo had people on there that you could call them up and ask them how to get through certain levels. Yeah, I never did that.
That was a thing. Someone got paid for that. That's amazing.
Yes,
that's unfair.
To basically look through. Yeah, they would play the game and know how to get through it. That's fun. That's awesome. We never had the money to do that. Or at least I wasn't allowed.
That was a long distance phone call, Dan.
It was. Don't get those 800 numbers. It's 99 cents for the first minute, $5 for each additional minute. So.
Yeah, I think those are the 900 ones. You're calling a different phone number.
Oh, no wonder I didn't really get. I got guidance, but not in the way I wanted, I guess. Yeah. All right, so I don't know which one. I don't know who's older here. I'm pretty sure Sean is next on the list here, who's going to be 30 here in about a month. So.
Oh yeah, you're definitely older than me.
About 14 days, yeah.
Oh yeah, 14 days. There you go.
Sure.
All right, give us your moments.
All right, so my first introduction to video gaming was at a grocery store, of all things. They had a little arcade section over by the gardening, and me and my dad used to roll up and play House of the Dead.
That explains a lot.
Just. So, yeah, my mom worked there, so we go visit her, do our shopping, head over to the little arcade section and just shoot zombies. And, of course, I'm not good, but he was a patient guy. Because every time you'd roll up on that one giant metal guy that had the little gargoyle that would fly around him, I think it was like the first boss. I was not good.
Well, at least you got there.
That's awesome.
Sometimes.
Definitely explains
he wastes
a lot.
A lot of paychecks. And what do you mean by that?
You're. I mean that in the fact that I know you're a big fan of horror games.
Yeah.
So
I still haven't beat Biohazard. Something about it just freaks me out.
I'm sure we'll be talking about that at some point.
Well, Resident Evil 8, but that's a spoiler for later.
Whoop. Little spoiler.
Cut that.
You got a dump button, right?
I could just turn you. I don't know. I never tried to get rid of anybody on a Skype call. All right, Adam.
Yeah, I don't know what you actually would hit.
I don't know. I just end the whole thing, I think.
Let's see. Am I officially my turn? I'm ready to go?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, I can go. I'll go another. I got a 2-hour time frame here, right? I can get it all in 2 hours.
Your first gaming was the PS4.
So my first time playing was about 4 days ago, and I downloaded the Fortnites.
The Fortnites.
It's free to play. No, so I was trying to really think about it because, like, as kids, like my brother, my sister, and myself, my parents would always buy us like the systems, and it wasn't like right when it came out, like how things are so different now. And it was like we were a Nintendo family, so we had an NES, we had Nintendo 64, which was big. That was like my childhood is Nintendo 64, and then the GameCube. And I remember still having all three of them still set up next to each other and just rotating. So, Nintendo, we were definitely Mario kids. So I was thinking like my favorites were probably Super Mario 2 on NES. We didn't progress very far because we were little kids. You just jump around as a dude and die on every level. And then for Nintendo 64, it was definitely Mario Kart, because we'd have the extender cables to fill up the whole room, and that's all we did. We'd race each other all the time for that. And then same with GameCube. It was all Mario games. I think the first game that really stuck out to me that wasn't a Mario, kind of in that Nintendo mindset of a game, was Madden 04. Was the first time I really played a game that wasn't Mario. And that's the one with Michael Vick on the cover, where he's like unstoppable, super fast as a quarterback. And remember being like, I want to be like Mike Vick and be a quarterback. and then that's all I ever played on those little tiny GameCube discs. And it was like that for most of the time until I finally, I think, bought my own PS2 or whatever it was. But those are definitely some of my big first games I remember playing.
And Madden 04 was on the Nintendo 6 or the GameCube?
Yeah, and it was on. The only reason I know it's on the GameCube is I played it at a buddy's house, and like back then, it's not how it is now, where you can all be in your own house and game. You'd go over, have your parties together, or LAN party, or whatever it was, and my buddy had the Madden 04 one, and I remember playing it and being at his house playing, and he let me borrow it, and I never gave it back. He never got that game back.
That's how it goes.
So that's how I know it was on GameCube, because we didn't have anything else. It was like, I'm pretty sure we weren't friends after that, because he never got his game back. And I kept that Madden, and I constantly play that, which probably is why I have such a bad Madden addiction now, where I just am constantly doing franchises and playing them through, and it's most of my time.
How are you with the newest Maddens? I know we're jumping around a little bit, but the newest Maddens, like, I'm a huge Madden fan. I love playing Madden up until about 5 years ago, and I cannot play them anymore.
They're all the same.
They are. So the graphics, it's crazy how the graphics have changed, right? But even still, like the past two, I think it's looked pretty similar.
It's like FIFA.
Yeah,
it's all the same game.
They know how to repeat it to get people's money, right? That's like the model. It's a similar game, some maybe slight features, usually taking a lot of stuff out and then putting it out for the next year. But I play them. I'm still addicted. I love football, and I love playing Madden. I am one of the super players of franchise where I create my team, and I trade everyone, and then draft my whole team, and I will play through like 10-plus years of franchise mode for a team, usually the Packers, but I'm a homer, so I can't help it.
There you go.
I explored this year. I tried the Chargers out, the San Diego, beat that, LA Chargers. I tried a new team out.
Well, somebody's got to get fans of that franchise, so if you start a good dynasty, maybe
the 20 people in the stands in-game, it's perfect, It's like playing in front of no one, like how sports will be. That's off topic.
It's like the Marlins. I do the same thing with... I do the same thing with FIFA, too. I'll play FIFA, and I still play that one because, like Sean said, nothing's changed in that game for sure. And I'll basically pick a team, and I'll dump everybody for the most part and just, sign up all my team that I really want and sign all the new guys and everything like that.
Yeah,
so.
That's exactly what I do.
Yeah.
I put a lot of effort into drafting like I'm a real GM or something, like I'm practicing for the big leagues. So I put way too much effort into that. And
that's the fun part.
Someday.
I don't play I've been playing so long, I don't have fun if I don't play it on all Madden. That's trying to be like a try hard. But if I don't play on all Madden, I won't play the game because I just don't have fun then, because it's like not a challenge. But if I play online, I get super pissed. I hate doing it. I cannot play with online play with other people.
I think that's kind of how most games are designed, is for you to play it on the hardest difficulty, because that's the true experience. When you play it on easy and they give you everything and hand it to you just so you can kind of get through the story, that's one thing, but beating it on hard is something, it's an accomplishment.
Exactly. Yeah, so when I actually win a game, I feel like it feels like an accomplishment, and it doesn't truly feel like the 60 minutes or whatever it takes to play one game.
I'll do that with the wrestling games, with any of the WWE games. I'll
sure.
But if I get those, I'll put it on the easiest mode to get through the storyline, because I don't want to be in some pain in the ass wrestling match. I just want to get through the match and just get the story going, because I could give a shit. I just want to beat the crap out of the guy and be done with it.
Fair.
It's easier that way.
And then there's games like Dark Souls where you don't get to pick the difficulty, and Oh my
Good
god!
luck. That's it.
Have you played?
Finally,
Have you played it, Sean?
which one?
Dark Souls? Do you play it?
Oh yeah, I beat part 2, and then I got Bloodborne for the PS4, which was kind of the same mechanic, but a lot less blocking and more dodging. And yeah, when I got to Rom the Vacuous Spider, let me tell you, there was like 2 weeks of me trying to beat that one guy, and my friend came over, and I was like, dude, look at how bullshit this guy is, and beat him. And I was like, dude, I swear this game is harder than that.
That's awesome.
Should love those guys. So, I mean, do you guys? I mean, between consoles, PCs. I mean, growing up, have you guys ever played going to the arcades? Did you guys like playing arcade games at all?
I mean, I think for me it was mostly consoles, with maybe a little bit of PC thrown in here and there. I mean, Windows 95. There were some, real good games on that.
Doom.
He said sarcastically. Yeah, it was like Doom, maybe Pitfall. Nice.
Okay.
No, so mostly it was consoles, right? It was like, for me, NES and then N64. And I think I remember wanting the GameCube in the worst way, and then didn't get it. And I got it the PS2 and was so all upset, and then realized, well, wait, the PS2, that's actually a pretty good console.
Yeah.
Played through that, and then I think for me, like, PC gaming started when I hit college in the early 2000s, and from then on, it's basically been PC all the way. I've owned a couple consoles. I had an Xbox 360 and a PS4 at some point. I have the Switch now, but really it's PC gaming all the way for me at this point. So, I think Dark Souls you were talking about, I think that's a PS5 or PS4 exclusive, right? So some of those types of games I didn't really get to experience, but I don't know. I like the PCs. I like spending all my money to build up a PC and then not use it for half of the stuff it can probably do.
But it looks cool.
It looks cool. Yeah.
It really does.
It's got RGB, man, all the way.
That's right. Drew taught me well when I built my PC that I had to go RGB with everything, so I got all sorts of colors.
You went more than I did.
So, Sean, I think you're more of a PlayStation guy. I don't know if you play any Xbox or anything on the PC, but you're more PlayStation centric for the most part, right?
Oh, yeah. Now I am. For the 360, it was Modern Warfare, Gears of War, that kind of thing, going all nighters on that sort of stuff. For PC, it was mostly Counter-Strike, and that is unbelievably addictive. My God, I actually want to download it since I have a laptop that can probably handle it at this point. But yeah, I think PlayStation's always kind of been my thing with some of their, like, Uncharted, The Last of Us, God of War, like, just some really good titles. So yeah, I'm definitely a PlayStation guy.
Yeah, he's already wearing the PlayStation shirt, supporting the team. Adam, I'm not sure about you. I know the issues with me is those exclusives, because there's a good bunch of games for Xbox, as opposed to PlayStation. I'm not sure which way you lean towards if you're going for both.
Yeah, mine. It sounds like we all kind of had a somewhat similar path through the Nintendo to jump to a PS2. I jumped to a Xbox 360, and then I got a PlayStation 4. So I've been back and forth. I currently have an Xbox One, the Gears edition that came out, I think, for Gears 4, and then my PlayStation 4. Because you're right, like, the exclusive titles always drew it to me. It's like when we got an Xbox 360, we were given the choice. You either pick Halo or you pick Gears. Like, our parents said, you get one or the other. Because it was still a time where, like, old and whatever level game we wanted. They didn't care if it said MA on the cover, because we kept ourselves busy.
That's how I got Vice City.
Yeah.
Oh man, we're have to do a whole show about Grand Theft Auto. I mean,
shows about Grand Theft Auto. But so it was when we got an Xbox 360. It was Gears, and I think 2 was the first one I played where I was like, I love this game. And that's what really started drawing me into, like, an online play, like, as Sean, you said, like, Modern Warfare, and then all the games follow after that. Like, that completely changed how I wanted to play video games because as little kid, I really enjoyed playing Mario with my brother and sister. But now you can play with any of your friends at your own houses, or random people, and play all these different games. And that was the biggest shift, I think. And I'm still kind of 50-50 on that. Like, there was a good chunk of time where I only did PC gaming, really. I fell off that because it wasn't. It was cheaper to kind of just get the PlayStation games I was playing, and then I'm kind of a mix. I like playing solo games, but I also like playing like the Call of Duty online play. Apex is a big one I've played, but it's a pretty good mix there. It sounds like we all enjoyed some of those same early Xbox, PlayStation games. Vice City, we could talk hours on Vice City, and just a little like I was not supposed to be playing that game at that age. Like,
oh no, me neither.
Playing that, and we would have the sound way up in our room, and my dad would, you could hear him downstairs yelling up like, "How come I'm always hearing cop sirens up there?" Because my brother and I, our goal was always get 5 stars. How long could you live? And then we'd rotate and just go back and forth doing that, and not even playing the game.
You find a good bridge you can hang out on, and then just destroy everything that comes your way.
That's where we would get the gaming books. So you would find out what the cheat codes were. So then you could just keep getting unlimited like RPGs or whatever weapons.
Yeah.
Minigun, man.
Yeah, and we broke the game because we used too many cheat codes. There's actually you can't get past a certain point in Vice City if you use too many cheat codes, and we broke that way too early. So when we actually tried to play it, we could never actually beat the game.
I don't know if you remember Enter the Matrix, but it actually had the same thing where there was if you use cheat codes when you get to Malachi and Bane's level, it'll freeze, and I never could figure out why.
We had the same thing because we were awful with that. We'd get all the cool games would come out, like especially like the Matrix game where it's based, around a movie we saw that we also probably shouldn't have been watching that movie at that age. But then we were awful with cheat codes. That's all we would want to find because we had the most fun doing it that way.
Oh, you remember the Game Shark? I mean, that was the best.
Game Shark and the Game Genies. I still have my Game Genie for
Game Genies.
I think for the Super Nintendo. I don't know if I have it for the NES, but I got it. I still got mine in there. Those were the best.
And you were lucky. I remember just wanting that so bad.
I used it a lot for NBA Jam and all them because I wanted to get rid of the violence, not allowing people to push you and things like that, and make it a little more realistic and fun. Because I would get so frustrating playing those games.
Oh yeah, no, my first sports game was NFL Blitz. Like,
that
was the shit.
So good.
Oh my god,
Blitz was so good.
So much.
That's the thing, I know we talked about Madden, but it's like, now it's just realistic. Like, I don't want that. I want to go back to those games where it was like the arcade version of playing those games, and that's what Blitz was. It was so much fun.
Oh, Blitz 2000, you could shoot up steroids and all other sorts of,
Well, first down was 30 yards.
Well, yeah. It's because you could throw the bomb. That was the best part about it. Yeah. I remember playing that game before we had a Dave & Buster's here in the Midwest, Milwaukee, I guess. There was one in Chicago, and I remember my brother taking me down there with his buddy because we just wanted to go down and play some video games, and that was at that point that was the only place you could go. And we go down there and spend $20 and get a $10 rubber steak and $10 worth of game credits. And I remember spending all of those $10 playing one game of NFL Blitz because you basically paid I don't remember what it was, $2 for a quarter, and so then you play to get all 4 quarters. You had to put in all that money, and then of course, the computer makes the comeback in the 4th quarter and ties it to send it to overtime. Well, if you want to play overtime, you got to put some more money in. So I put the money in, finished overtime, still tied. Went into another overtime. My brother's watching me. He's like, you have to just keep playing. You have to win this game. You have to keep going. Because I didn't want to put any more money in. Luckily, I ended up winning. I think it took 2 overtimes to win. But those are the funs of the arcade where you just gotta keep spending money, and those games will just bleed you dry. But they're so much fun. The Blitz game is one of my favorites to play. We played that. We went to the Garcade.
Yeah, when we were there, I was like, that's how I could tell you guys definitely played arcade games, because like that was not a thing with me growing up. So like it's relatively new. Like the hand-eye coordination's there, but not knowing patterns and like, you know, it's basically a couple buttons. That's it. You know, really, or two buttons and a joystick, right? So those games though are so much fun. I love that you can go to places like that where you just here's a price. You don't have to keep all these quarters on you, and you can play all the games you want.
I don't know, for me, Blitz was an N64 game. I mean,
me too.
Yep.
I was going to say, I never paid for that.
Yeah.
We ended up getting that after, because we had all three. I was like, okay, now we got to get every football game ever made, because I love Madden 04.
Yeah. I played it, I got it for the N64, but it was after I had played it in the arcade. That was my first memory of playing Blitz was there, and was like, wow, this is so cool, because I remember NBA Jam, and I'm like, this is awesome, because it's football, and you get to just destroy guys. This is so great.
It's an XFL simulator.
Yeah.
It was XFL.
You play
the
8
first
games, and it never happens again. Perfect.
Yeah, power goes out, you get bankrupt, it's all over.
That keeps us related to wrestling with who owns XFL. Perfect.
There you go. There you go.
I was gonna say, related to Blitz, did any of you ever play the like latest edition of Blitz? I think it was like Blitz the League or something.
They came out with another one?
Yeah, there was a Blitz the League. I don't remember when it came out. It would have been probably 10 years ago, over that.
Okay, yeah.
And it was supposed to be made to be a little bit more realistic in looks, but it's still Blitz. And that was it was like you would see the bones break, and it would like zoom in. I remember you could like break your nutsack open, and it would zoom in on that. You could see the hand getting caught in the face mask, and it would just show the fingers being completely ripped off the hand. And then the more you played, you unlocked the like cover girls for your home screen. So it was an addiction. It just kept you playing.
Looks like that was a Xbox PlayStation 2. Came out in 2005.
Yeah, I was going to say it's old. It's not like it's recent. So it was one of the older ones, I think, that like if talking how Blitz came out, 2005 was a little later for Blitz. I was addicted to that. That was a lot of fun.
Did you ever play Mutant League Football? It was more of a Sega game, but it came out for the PC recently as well. I don't know if you ever played that one.
I was not a Sega Sega person.
Neither was I.
Dreamcast.
I have a Dreamcast back there as well. Yeah.
Do you have Power Stone?
No, I think all I have is NFL 2K1.
The 2K version of NFL. I love those.
Like
those
the first one. First one. That was the best one, too, on the Dreamcast. All you had to do was play as the Vikings and throw a deep bomb to Randy Moss, and he'd catch it for a touchdown every single time.
Yeah. You find the team you can cheat with. That's all you needed.
He was the Bo Jackson of this generation of video games. That was great. So online, you mentioned a couple of online gamings. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. You guys still play online? I don't know if anybody does that and enjoys playing. Like Sean, you mentioned like Call of Duty and stuff that you played. Do you still play online with anybody when it comes to that kind of stuff?
Unfortunately, no. It's mostly like split screening Borderlands with my girlfriend and things like that. Like I really haven't gotten back into the online scene because all my buddies are Xbox One, and I just don't feel like buying another console just to play a game online with people. It's like, it's expensive. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I used to, all-nighters, unlocking nukes on Modern Warfare 2 and, just playing an ungodly amount of Counter-Strike for 48 hours straight when I could still do that kind of thing. But, I really fell out of the online thing, which kind of sucks because I do miss it now that we're talking about it.
Yeah, I find it to be a lot of fun. It's frustrating, is all I can say that. But it is a lot of fun, and you're playing with actual people, right? So that's the difference, and seeing how much better people are than I am at those games. I'd be like,
it's a real eye opener.
Play? But go ahead.
Go continue.
I was just gonna say to kind of what you were saying. I'm gonna call you Dan. So cut that. DPP.
Oh boy, here we go.
Is that I still play the newest Call of Duty, like the Warzone, that's been pretty big. I have a couple buddies where we will play that. We were playing like once a week, just trying like kind of as a social event to just talk and see how things are going, because we try to win, obviously, and we're not too bad. I don't play like most people. There's people that's their job, right? They just stream and play Warzone or Fortnite and stuff, and I don't take it that serious. But that and Apex, I really enjoyed Apex, and I took a little break from that, but that's it. Otherwise, I realistically play a lot of games by myself, or just not really online-enabled games, I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, right now, it's all single-player everything. But, I mean, back in the day, probably in, like, the 06 time frame, I think at that time, it's like Battlefield Vietnam was out.
Oh, my God, yes.
And then after that was, like, 2142, Call of Duty 4. I'm just kind of going through the progression here. Probably, like, Bad Company 2. So there's a mix of Call of Duties and Battlefields at the same time out around then, between 06 and maybe 2010, somewhere in there. And I was really, really big into online gaming. I'm not sure what they call them now, but I was like a part of a clan at that time, and a group of friends that, we even started, we had like a website, and we started recruiting online, and, you'd pick up players that we would meet while playing. I think we were rated pretty high at one point. I can't remember which game it was, probably Bad Company 2. But I think that was the height of the like online gaming for me, and man, was that a blast! You would just—I mean, we had a pretty big clan. It was probably 30-something people at the time, and anytime you went on, there were a couple people on there. At that time we had like a TeamSpeak, kind of like Discord is now. I think TeamSpeak's still around. But we had a TeamSpeak server. You'd log in, somebody would be on there, hang out, play a bunch of rounds, and then get off. That was the best. And then I think. Life happens. You get a little older, you start getting preoccupied with other things. You get a job, you have kids, and it's like, oh, well, I can't do that anymore.
Yeah.
So
was that before?
Go ahead. I was going to say, now it's a time commitment thing where, I play single player games because, well, first of all, I don't know anybody anymore that plays online games, and even if I did, I'd be able to go on for like a game or two, and then I'd be out.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. That was before, like esports and all that kind of stuff has been going on, right? That was kind of pre.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it was where it took off from.
It kind of started from there. It was definitely before that got big, for sure.
Yeah, I just remember MLG was the big thing, the Major League Gaming. Yeah. And people I had one of those sweatshirts. I had the logo on it, and a lot of my buddies did, because it was like, it's so cool. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna be a Major League Gamers, and then. Didn't follow that, and now you see how crazy different things are. Like, that's a huge focus. Just having friends that or teachers and saying like they have gaming groups. That's a thing now, like in school. Like, wow, that is way different. Like, if that would have been a thing, I would have played no sports. It would have been just, yep. Yeah. That's all I do.
You can make that a living. I mean, geez, you can make. People make money getting on, they get, when it comes to like basketball and NBA 2K, you can get drafted to teams, and it's like crazy,
You play while the actual sport is happening, and that's just crazy to me. It's awesome that that's a thing, and I wish I had the time commitment or the energy to put that much focus into that. If only.
That's too much stress. I like to have fun with my games.
I mean, if we were doing all that stuff today, I mean, I guarantee you we would be streaming on Twitch and having YouTube videos and all sorts of stuff.
Podcasts.
I was watching it the other day on ESPN or whatever, and the esports with NBA 2K. It's it's ridiculous. Like, you guys have regular practices where they get together, and talk about strategy and practice how they're going to run plays and things like that. It's crazy. It's so insane. It is literally a full-time job if you want it.
Yeah, and it kind of has to be, because you're fitting to an audience that wants to watch that content, so you kind of have to be available when people are available to watch it, right? So you can't just be gaming during the day necessarily. You kind of have to game 5 o'clock later, you're thinking nighttime is when a lot of the popular Twitch streamers are on, or whatever platform. So like your full-time job is basically work at night and then edit during the day and get your content out. And that's like all they do, but I'm sure that's stressful. Saying not doing it and being like, that'd be a ton of fun would be great, but that'd definitely be a challenge. I don't know if I'd enjoy video games as much as I do if that was what I had to actually do to make income.
Yeah,
if it was a job.
When it becomes a chore.
I don't know if I would enjoy it as much.
So let me talk about a couple of favorite games that you guys are playing right now. Drew, I know you're more of a PC guy. What's the games? What's your I guess your favorite genre for the most part? What do you prefer to play, and then kind of what are you playing right now?
So, I don't really have a genre per se that I stick to. I move around a lot. So, I think most recently the game I've been playing is Control. It's on the Epic Store. Don't get me started, but it's a good game. Control is. Have you guys played it? Dan, I think you've played it, right?
I am in the middle of it as well, based on your recommendation.
Yeah, it's a third person shooter type game, but you have certain telekinetic powers. It's kind of I suppose the enemies are sort of zombies. You don't know exactly kind of what they are, but they're taken over by, it's called the Hiss, taken over by some alien force that's infiltrated the world. It's a cool game. You kind of upgrade your characters throughout, but really it's a linear third-person shooter. Follow the missions. You can kind of pick. You probably have 5 or 10 missions going at the same time. You can kind of pick which ones you're going on, but the main storyline is certainly linear. You're just progressing through the steps. But it's a lot of fun. The different upgrades are really cool. The gameplay mechanics are pretty interesting. The way you use your guns and the different types of guns that you have, and the upgrades you get, are pretty interesting. But I would say that's one of the ones I'm playing pretty often right now. The other one that is really super awesome is called Satisfactory. That is a world building game. It's kind of a survival game. You're dropped into a world, and you're basically set to build up your base. And you really don't have a lot. Like, they give you kind of a starting pod that you can go and build like your starting area, but then you're scanning for minerals. You go out and find them. It's resource collecting, and then you research different science levels and you progress. It's one of those types of games. I'm sure you've played different variations of the same thing, but it's all first person. There's actual enemies that you can fight. It's a lot of fun. It's an early access game. I think they just released update 3 about a month or two ago. It was on Epic. I think they're releasing on Steam soon if they haven't already. It's a multiplayer game, so you can actually get together with friends and work on the same world. But it gets pretty grandiose. You start with this very small habitat that you're building, and pretty soon you're building these entire factories to produce oil and make heavy machinery, and it just blows up like crazy after quite a few hours of playing it. But it just gets crazier and crazier. The tech tree must be miles long in that game, so that's a pretty awesome one as well.
If you're let's say you started a game and you were in the middle of building your city or whatever it is, and somebody else wanted to join you, can you just invite them and they drop right in the middle of it and they can just kind of keep going from there, or do you have to kind of start from scratch with a group of people?
No, they can come right into your game and start playing right with you. That's one of the really nice things. They're also claiming that you'll be able to do crossplay between Steam and Epic, so it doesn't matter which version of the game you have, you'll be able to crossplay between the two. I don't think there's any plans to release on consoles. I think it's PC only at this point. But it's a super awesome game, and I'm trying to remember. It's the same people that released a different game. I can't remember what it is, but I'll try to figure it out, and I'll come back to that.
It's not Factorio, is it? Is that your other favorite game?
That is a fantastic game. It is. So if anybody's played Factorio, it is much along the same lines of Factorio, but the graphics are worlds above Factorio. Like Factorio is, I don't know what they call it, 2.5D. It's kind of a top-down look. It's the graphics aren't great. I mean, it's a great game. Don't get me wrong. It's a fantastic game. I've devoted hours and hours to Factorio, but this game, it's first person. You're actually in the world. You can feel the weight of everything around you. It's a very different experience than Factorio was.
So, Sean, you're more of a console guy then rather than PCs. So what's tickling your fancy these days? What do you play?
So it came out a long time ago, but still my favorite game is The Witcher 3. Like that is a game
Agreed.
that I can play
Perfect.
forever. It's like my third or fourth playthrough, DLC included. I mean, I still pop that in and go to town like every once in a while. Something that you just don't get sick of. And along the same lines, just because I wanted to buy a new game, I bought Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which is kind of like a knockoff Witcher 3. So, I guess that's kind of what I'm into now, is just really long, drawn-out stories with tons of side missions. I can just come home, pick it up, play for a few hours, go to work, come back, throw in another couple missions. But, yeah, I definitely have to say The Witcher 3 is the one that I'll just always go back to.
So did you play any of the other Assassin's Creeds, like the originals?
I started on the original with Altair. I got the one that came with the little statue and everything. Played part 2, skipped to Black Flag, and then played Odyssey.
Okay, I was wondering what your opinion of Odyssey was compared to the others, because I loved the originals.
It's weird. It's not Assassin's Creed by any stretch of the imagination. There is no assassin missions. It's just roll up and are we allowed to cuss?
Sure.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck shit up. Just show up and cut.
Beep it.
Dump button.
Fuck that. Oh fuck, I missed it. Shit.
Again, we are drinking beer on air, so there you go.
Speak for yourself. Spirits.
Oh, well, that works too.
Ethanol. We are all consuming ethanol.
Ethyl alcohol. What? So is that kind of your go-to genre or anything like those I don't know what you call them. I guess not necessarily just straight RPGs, but those type of open world, random stories that go kind of whatever it is, 100+ hour ridiculous long campaigns type of thing.
There's kind of a theme there, yeah, because me and my girlfriend are still playing Borderlands 3 after, all of these years that it's been out. But, yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of my go-to, just because linear gameplay is fun, but it does feel limited and kind of gets boring after a while, whereas, if you're on a quest that's just kind of like, this is dragging ass, you just back out and go do something else. Kind of that ADHD style of playing video games. That's where I go.
That's one of the hardest for me. I need a game that kind of directs me where to go rather than just like, oh, hey, come over here. Oh, go over here. Oh, do that. Go over this way. Go this way. What? Wait, what?
But you liked Red Dead Redemption, right?
Red Dead Redemption 2. Well, that's the weird thing, because Red Dead Redemption 2 is right now ranked my number 1 all-time favorite game. Just took over Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, because it is fantastic and it's so good, but there is in a sense a linear progression to that game though.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is in The Witcher too, but man, venturing off the beaten path, you get some of the craziest stories that are just like, how did they write this? Like, just beautiful stories. Like, it's crazy how good those games are and how much they draw you in, emotionally.
Yeah,
not that I cry, but
Okay.
The Witcher 3 was a really big one for me too, but I've never completed it.
Dude, you gotta.
So it's one of those games, and this comes back to just not having time to play as often as I would want.
Fair enough.
But it's you get so sucked into those games where you'll spend afternoon, like that's all you want to do is you want to go home, you want to play that video game, right? You want to keep going through it, and eventually, for me, it's like I get burnt out on the game, and it's not that the game got bad, it's just I got busy doing something else, and you go and you do something else for a week or two, and now it's like, oh, I can't even remember where I was, like I don't even remember the control scheme, So
yeah, it's one of those games you can't just, I'll spend an hour on this. Like, no, bullshit. Like, you're going to be there for a while.
That's the problem. That's my problem, too, is, like, I basically need a game where, that's why I love sports games. It's like, I can play it for an hour, and I'm done. I play one game of basketball or one game whatever. What? What the hell did you say?
Instant gratification.
Oh. I thought you said something else that was very dirty, so, okay.
Oh, well, reiterate. What did I say?
I don't know. I don't want to
know. That's what she said.
Perfect.
By the way,
MLG horn.
I did just look it up. Satisfactory is the same people that made Goat Simulator.
Yeah, I was looking at it too.
But don't let that fool you. It's nothing like Goat Simulator. So.
Oh, well, I'm out.
Is it like the Untitled Goose Game?
Oh my god.
No, I don't think so.
You never played that one? That one's fun.
I played a little bit of that.
Yeah. I got it for
really
the Switch.
Stupid.
It's so stupid, but it's so much entertaining. Just squawking at the gardener and grabbing his shit and making him chase after you is just kind of... There's something about that that's just entertaining.
It's goose shit. That's what they do.
It's goose shit. All right, so Adam,
you got a problem with Canadian Goose. You got a problem with me. Adam, that was a reference that you're not going to get.
I don't understand your references.
Reddit.
Hit my button. Hit my button.
I don't have it.
Oh, damn it.
Here. Can't even hear it. I got to turn it up.
Damn it. We'll put some effort into it. I don't want to spoil it.
Ruin the moment.
That'll be episode 2.
Next time.
Yeah, we'll work on that. We got to come up with stuff here. We'll figure it out. I had one about hosers too, and I can't find that. Oh well. All right. So what do you got? What's your game, Adam? What's your favorite genre? What do you like to play? What are you playing right now?
So I'm kind of split down the middle. Like, even though I play online games, I don't do that as much anymore. I'm definitely a sports person, so I big into 2K for basketball, Madden, because it's like what Dan said, where it's like I don't have all night or all day to play a game necessarily. If I can know it's going to take me roughly this amount of time to play one game in Madden, I'll do that, because then perfect, that's all I needed. So I love that genre because I'm just a huge sports fan, so it's like you're playing it, living it, and I really enjoy those. And they're a challenge. And then I'd say the games I like are those open world games as well, like Witcher, Skyrim, Borderlands. And I am currently playing through Borderlands 3. I did the same thing. Bought it when it released. I got the crazy DLC edition. I was like, I love Borderlands. I can't wait to play. And I got to like level 5, and I didn't play for months because it's exactly what Drew said, where it's like, I'd play it. All I think about is playing the game. I'd come back, and I'd want to be like, I need to play. You don't play for 2 weeks, and it's like, what was I even doing in this game? What was I doing? And so I finally like dedicated myself to really, now that we're home, playing Borderlands 3. And I almost completed the mission, so I went from like level 5 in like a month to I think I'm like a level 45. Something nuts. Like I've just been nonstop playing that game. That's all I've been doing. And my problem, though, why I haven't actually completed the main story is because it's like what you guys are saying. I don't like just playing the main story mission. If I'm on a new open map, I want to complete every challenge, side mission I can before I progress the story, because I have more fun doing that. And Borderlands is a little bit more restrictive, where it's not so open world, but like Skyrim to me, I can go back and play Skyrim, and like I will just create a new save, and I'll play like 40 hours of Skyrim with that new save. Not play it for a month, and then redo that process, and just keep doing that. And that's like Witcher, Skyrim's that for me. And I actually just got Witcher 3. I played through it once, and they had it on sale through that PlayStation sale days or summer days, whatever they call it. They had
days
like they had the Game of the Year edition, and it was like $10. And I was like, of course I want this. Download it, and like once I finish Borderlands, I have other games I want to play, but going back to Witcher, I think, is what I'm going to do. Because I just love that style of game where if I want to play main story, great. If I want to do side missions or literally go F off on the horse and do whatever I want, that's what I'm going to do. And so it's kind of a mix. And now that we're home, I got so much more time to play where it's like, I love those open world games.
Wait, you have
Which
more
it sounds like we all kind of do.
Did you just say you're now because you're working from home, you have more time to play games? Are you telling me that you're playing games on the clock here?
Who works when they're working from home? You just move the mouse.
You got to get the like Homer Simpson and get that drinking bird that just hits the button, hits the key for you.
I created this thing that just moves my mouse in a circle for 9 hours a day.
You're saying the quiet things out loud.
Yeah,
Clip that, cut that. I don't want anyone to hear that.
You kind of have your boss on the podcast, somewhat.
Dotted line. I don't actually report to him, and I can remove him from all things, I've been told, so I'm not concerned.
Oh boy.
Snitches get stitches. Let's not forget.
I really think, and I saw that this is not original by any means, but I really think games need to have a remind me where I am button. Like, just give me a 30-second, 1 minute synopsis of the entire game up until this point, like, and maybe a quick tutorial, like what at least are the main buttons.
Recap.
And some good intro music. Really get you pumped for it.
Yeah. I don't know. I swear, like, if Witcher had that, I'd go pick it up, tomorrow. Because I'd be like, all right, I can get right back into it. No problem.
See, that's why I keep a journal next to me while I play.
Hey, it's terrible. Like, I actually did that with the Wind Waker for the GameCube with Zelda. Because... when you played that game,
I could see that.
It was you're traveling the ocean or whatever, and it was like different sections of it had different things, and it didn't tell you where it was. So like I drew out a map of like, okay, in this section, this is what's there over here, because you had to come back to it eventually. So like I had it all drawn out of everything that was going on in each section, so I knew where to go back to.
I did that in Minecraft.
You're not a real Zelda fan if you didn't draw a map in Wind Waker.
That's right. That's true. That's true. All right, I got one question for everybody before we head into the break. I'm going to start with Drew, and I want to know this. And if you remember the game, you tell me. Have you ever 100%ed a game?
Almost certainly not. I mean, it would have had to have been like Minesweeper or something like that. Like, no.
That doesn't count.
No.
That does not.
The answer is no.
Windows 95 pinball doesn't count either. Space Pirates.
I'll go off on a tangent. Speaking of which, Space Pirate, I just found that again, and you can play that on a Windows 10 machine, and it comes into a box about, postcard size on your big screen, but it is still phenomenal.
Nice. That's outstanding.
But no, to answer your question, no. I don't think I've ever 100%ed a game.
All right. Adam?
I have. I've done that for a couple of games, and they're all kind of the same Rockstar game. Like, Borderlands 3 will probably be the one I do next because of how I play it. But I'm thinking of, it's like Saints Row, was it? Where like I got all achievements I could get. I think it was Saints Row 1 or 2. I probably did both, honestly. Where it was like, the game's not complete to me until I do every single thing I can do. Which is how I play Borderlands. The last one I did was the Batman Arkham Asylum. So that took me forever because I don't know if any of you have played Batman Arkham Asylum, but I made sure to get every single one of those stupid Riddler trophies after I completed the main story, and that's the that was one of the last times I did that. Was 100% a game was that. But I was so addicted to it. It was so good.
How did you do all the Riddlers? Like, there's not a chance.
It's impossible. But that's the thing now, right? Where we have the internet available. Where I would search the area, the map, and Google and be like, how the fuck did someone do this? And I do that now with Borderlands, where I'm like, I can't find this damn chest. Where is it? And I'll look up the map. Oh, it's right there. I walked past it 100 times. Or that's how I do it, and then I'd complete it. So it's not the true essence of beating it. You're cheating it, right? So I'm using Google for that. But I still needed to do it.
Counts.
I didn't believe the game was done unless I got all those stupid Riddler trophies. And that's a lot of effort, though. It's a lot of hours.
That counts. I don't care if you use the internet. The fact that you actually 100%ed a game counts for me. Sean?
It was one of the original releases for the Xbox 360. Do you remember Gun?
That
That was
sounds
the
familiar.
first game. That was the first game I ever got all the achievements on, and the other one that was about like walking around with a lead pipe, and there was a psycho killer and mannequins. Like those two were the two launch titles for the 360, and because I bought a 360, I had to, what the hell are achievements? Let's get all these, and yeah, it's worthless, but yeah, those are the only two games I've ever 100%ed. After that, I was like, why am I bothering trying to hunt down like this dumb shit way over there? Like, no, I beat the game, I'm good.
I did it one time only, and that was the first of the new series of Tomb Raiders.
Sure.
I loved that game so much that I didn't want to put it down. So I'm like, I'd finish the storyline. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go through, hit all the fast travels and find all those spots, all those little, the tombs that I didn't complete, and then all those little, trinkets and stuff like that. That you can just pick up for that don't do you any good. But it's just the fact that you can say I actually got 100% of the game done. Just like like you said at Rockstar games, you actually finish the story, and that's like what 50% of the game, maybe.
Yeah, it's not even the full game.
So
yeah, exactly.
I'm going.
I never
through...
played the Tomb Raider games like that. I wish I could have. That was my parents' cutoff. We could kill people in Grand Theft Auto, but you see some side boob, shut it down. You can't play those games.
Not even side boob; it was side pyramid.
So, she's showing some hips.
Not that. I think not that far back. The new version of the Tomb Raider.
Go back,
gritty.
go back shooting people with rockets off the top of buildings.
That's fine.
Popping people's heads with a sniper.
Yeah. You can't see side boob, but I can go pick up a hooker.
Get your money back. Don't forget to get your money back.
I knew how to beat the system at home. I knew how to beat the system. Yeah, I'll play this game instead. Don't worry.
We gotta save Grand Theft Auto. I got too much to talk about.
Yeah,
I think that'll be a full episode for sure.
We can just run a series on Vice City, San Andreas, Part 4.
Nothing like. I started with 3, and I loved 3.
Oh, I hated 3.
And going back, awful.
3
It's garbage. But I just playing it the first time, I was like, "This is the best game I've ever played." I say that a lot.
Oh.
I start playing a game like, "This is the best."
Speaking of 100%, I just watched a guy 100% Grand Theft Auto 5 in 10 hours.
Why? Wait, you watched him for 10 hours?
Well, it was a YouTube video. I didn't watch all 10 hours.
Sure, you were. Yeah.
Yes.
I know what you were doing the last 3 days.
Yeah, who got the real enjoyment here?
Yeah.
No, he had 10 hours. 100% at Grand Theft Auto 5. That's crazy.
Speedrunning is another sport in itself. Like, speedrunning is nuts to me.
I've seen a few of those.
Mistake and you've ruined it, and it's like, no, that's too much pressure. No.
Yeah.
Well, in some of those, like those old games, that's what what's crazy about some of those old games is if you die, that's not necessarily speedrunning, but just there was no continues, there was no nothing. You died and that was it. You start all over from the beginning. I don't know if anybody
like the Lion King game.
Do
Do you remember the Lion King?
Play Ghosts and Goblins. I don't.
So there was the Lion King and there was an Aladdin game that both had like this equally impossible section of basically you had to memorize it as you played it over and over and over to try and just time like how you were going to jump over these little obstacles. Like it's impossible to beat. Like I just go look up the Aladdin game, like the little magic carpet ride section. It's fucking stupid. Like the people who invented it were sadists.
That was the problem with those back then, man. Those people were like that. It was absolutely impossible to win those games. Like Ghosts and Goblins for me was the worst one for the NES. If you ever played that game, it was so insanely hard. I don't think I've ever gotten past level 1.
Oh.
You literally have 2 hits. You have your guy has armor. And you get hit, and you lose the armor. You get hit again, you're dead. and you're starting from the beginning every single time. That was
Sounds
it.
like Dark Souls.
Yeah. And, think about that back then with 2D and shitty, reaction times, and all you had was a damn spear that you threw.
The hitbox the size of your screen.
Yes, exactly. It was the worst goddamn game of all time. It pissed me off so much. All right. We're going to go ahead and take a break here. We'll pay the bills, play some commercials. When we come back, we'll talk a little Steam and a little PS5. You are listening to A Winner Is You, brought to you by thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
Why should you visit thechairshot.com? Thechairshot.com is your home for hard-hitting reviews, news, opinion, and analysis with attitude. Why? Because you're smarter than the average fan. Thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
Sierra Hotel, India, Echo, Lima, Delta, Shield.
Hey folks, listen up, PC Tony here. Thanks to our new partnership with Angry Lemonade, you can save 10% on physical products and digital commissions using the promo code Chairshot. Head to angrylemonade.net to check out their amazing catalog of products and services. Use the promo code Chairshot to save 10%. That's angrylemonade.net. Pins, stickers, illustrations. angrylemonade.net.
This is my yard now.
Thechairshot.com. Always use your head.
So I don't know if you guys have actually gone and checked out Angry Lemonade's website yet, but I'm stupidly extra promoting this thing right now. But I was just looking at it the other day, and my favorite right now is the Skelemotor, which is Skeletor. If you're a big fan of Masters of the Universe or anything, which is Skeletor, but with the Dia de los Muertos kind of.
Sugar Skull?
Yeah, the Sugar Skull, kind of all the nice colors and everything. Sugar Skull, but yet in Skeletor form, which is it's actually pretty awesome if you go check it out. It's one of my favorites right now. All right, so let's talk very quickly on the Steam Game Festival for those of you that are PC gamers, which is a few of us here on this podcast. It got delayed a little bit, but I don't know. They haven't done it that often. I think they started it last December was their first one, if I remember correctly. But June 16th through the 22nd, they're doing a Steam Game Festival, which they're going to have time-limited demos where you can kind of get some demos, playable experiences of. I'm not sure what games. I haven't seen any list or anything yet. I'm not sure. I know Drew. I know you're a PC gamer a lot, and Adam a little bit, but. I'm not sure if you've seen anything. I haven't seen it yet, but it's an opportunity to play a good bunch of demos. There's opportunities to kind of talk with developers as well, probably about those early access games and things about how to make their games better, as well as I'm hoping some game sales, because those are my favorite times of the year is when my games that I've been sitting on my wish list finally go on sale. So. Is there anything, Drew, that you're looking forward to, perhaps, that you're hoping maybe? I know there's not a lot of news on it quite yet of what demos will be available, but any hopes of games that might go on sale that maybe you're sitting on your wish list right now?
Yeah, I think it recently got delayed, obviously because of everything that's been going on. It's 2020 after all, but it's. I mean, I agree with you. The summer, summer sale is always a big highlight of the year. I don't know, Steam probably does with 4 or 5 sales throughout the year. But it's always a great time when you can go and pick up a game on the cheap. I think, right now, there's not a ton on my list that I'm really looking forward to. I think one thing that I'm focusing more on is VR games. I got the Valve Index a couple weeks ago, months ago at this point, 2 months ago. I know, Dan, you got one as well. We both were very lucky to hit the button fast enough when they became back in stock.
That was fun. That was a fun day.
We're part of the first.
You guys were working.
I remember. Yeah. I think they had that sale, or they finally became in stock. It was like 10 o'clock in the morning or something by us. And yeah, we must have been quick on the trigger because we were part of the first group to get them. And Half-Life Alyx, part of that deal, came out. I would say that's probably one of the games I've been closest to hitting 100%. I've gotten almost everything except for that damn gnome, which I'll tell you, in every other location in that game, you can leave the gnome if you know you're coming back to that location. Like when you're crossing that bridge of the railroad tracks, you can throw the gnome down there because you know you're going to be coming right back around and pick him back up. Everything except for that damn hotel. I left the gnome out in the courtyard of that hotel. I'm like, you know what? I'm coming right back down. I'm going to go through this hotel and come right back down. The gnome is gone when you go back to pick it up. And
interesting.
By that point, at least the in-game saves, it's gone. Too much time is gone. You don't have a save to go even back. So I'd have to go all the way back to the beginning, start over. I was like, screw it. So I think that's one of the only ones that I'm missing.
And that will be a topic of conversation. That might be episode 2, is to talk Half-Life, because I know we got big Half-Life fans here, and Half-Life Alyx for the VR, if you have not played that yet, is phenomenal. And maybe Sean will have to, you're coming up to visit one of these days so you can play that thing, because it is goddamn ridiculous.
It's beautiful. Yep. And I don't have it, and just watching videos of it, like gameplay of it is beautiful.
It is such a game changer. The VR, so I had a Vive, original HTC Vive, for a couple years before this, and finally felt it was time to upgrade with the Index. And oh my god, the Index itself is amazing, but then when you pair it with Half-Life Alyx, it's just phenomenal. And Sean, I know you're a fan of the horror genre. It's just enough horror to people that aren't super into horror can still get through it, except for Dan, who's shaking his head. But
that hotel, man.
Oh man, that hotel that's something else. But so it's, for me anyway, it was just enough horror to keep me on my toes, but not stop me from progressing through the game. But man, it is just on another level. So I agree. We'll save that for another time. To get back to your original question, I would say I'm focused on VR games at this point, especially with the Index. I think one that I'm interested in that I tried in a demo was that Westworld Awakening. I understand it's not a super long game, and I also understand that I don't think it's worth the $30 that it is at base price. So I'm kind of hoping that goes on sale. I might pick that up if I can get it for $10 or $15. I think that's probably appropriate. And really, there's not a whole lot else that's on my radar right now. I kind of need to go through and stack up my wish list before the sale starts. So, does anyone else have anything?
You guys, any guys PC looking for anything special?
I was thinking about downloading Rome Total War again, because I used to have that, but now I've been out of the PC game for a while, unfortunately. I do enjoy playing PC games like Command & Conquer, but it's a bit out of my price point, even though I know I can build a super cheap one, but I want to build something like Ills.
Yeah,
really save up and go all out.
Yeah, if you're going to do it, you got to go big, right? Mm-hmm. I'm in the same boat as you, Drew, here. I mean, my wish list is basically filled with VR games at this point. There's not really anything else I want to play that urgently other than just every VR game that's possible that's out there, because it's so much fucking fun to play. You
should play Biohazard on VR. I think you'd be a fan of that since you like horror games.
I don't even want to know. I played...
Oh, dude, I shit my pants.
Just go play... what is it? Is it Duck... What's the... Duck Season. Go play Duck Season on VR. When you come up here
that's a great one too.
And play that, you will shit your pants as well, because it's like Duck Hunt, but in VR, but with an evil dog. And it is the most... It is so terrifying and scary, because even though you know what's coming for the most part, it's still like, what the fuck is happening?
So it's literally, when you say first person, it's crazy, because at the beginning of the game you're playing kind of as this kid, and you pick up the old light gun from the NES. And you're pointing at the TV, but then as soon as you enter the game, you get teleported into the TV, and it's a first-person shooter game, but it's duck hunt. There's ducks flying around. But then all of a sudden, you turn around, and it's the TV. Like, you're inside the TV. You're looking back out on the kid that's behind you, and you can see stuff moving around. Like, you can see his mom walking past behind him and stuff. So the whole time, you're, looking over your shoulder to see, oh, what's going on? Like, there's a whole story going on behind me that I can't even see. And it's this total innocuous duck hunt game that's going in front of me. And it just gets more and more intense as the game goes on.
Because each level you get teleported back into the living room, and then every section, every time an hour passes, and some other shit happens, and something different is changed in the room, and you'll look back and your mom's in the kitchen doing something, and then the next time you look back and your mom's sitting at the kitchen table doing something, and then all of a sudden you look back again and your mom's laying on the floor with a knife in her back, bleeding, and it's wait, what?
Spoilers!
What happened? What happened? What the hell just happened?
Keep it.
Gotta hit the spoiler horn.
She's got a tick in her back. Cut that in instead. Keep it. Keep it. It's not a knife. It's a dick.
Hey, now.
She's got a good hatchet wound back there.
Is that Resident Evil 7 Biohazard you're talking about?
Yeah.
It is on sale right now on Steam.
Oh, look at that.
$10.
Dude, get it. Oh my god, get it.
$10.
If you can play it on VR, it is just out of this world fucking creepy. It's really fucking scary.
I'm gonna guess
you just feel so helpless the whole time.
It doesn't look like it's VR compatible unless there's a mod or something.
No! It's on PS4 VR. I was hoping they ported it to the PC. Yeah,
That's
surprising. Dude, it's something else.
That's surprising. They wouldn't have ported over the VR to the Steam console, but no, that's weird.
Well, the cool part about that one is, all the Resident Evil games have been going more towards military shooter type things, where you're just kind of overpowered and just shooting through shit. But Biohazard gives you that feeling of being a weak little bitch again. And every time you run into somebody, you're just oh god, oh no.
I'm just watching the
trailer.
The trailer. Oh, this is not for me.
It is so fucking good. They went back to horror and they did a really good job with it. And
boy.
Part 8 is coming out on the PS5. So I'm oh yes. That's one reason to buy it.
Well, let's talk about it. I think we're good here with the Steam stuff. Look forward to that. June 16th through the 22nd. We don't exactly know what games will end up being on sale and what demos they're going to have released that you can play, but keep an eye on it. Go on their website. They're going to, I'm sure, as soon as we get closer here, they'll let us know what games will be out there and what you'll be able to do and buy. I'm really hoping that they put some of those VR games back on sale, because I'm looking forward to playing something new as well on there. So let's get to our last topic, which I think everybody's pretty excited about here, and we'll talk.
We've been dropping hints
a little bit, and let's get this final boss. I think we're going to call it here, the last battle going. Anybody know where that one's from?
That was really good.
It sounded like a fart at the end.
Here, we'll play a little bit longer. You ever fought against any of the Koopas in Super Mario World?
I'm trying to remember if it's Super Mario World, right?
It is.
So it's just that, yeah.
So you fight any of the Koopas.
I was trying to remember which one it was. It's when you play it, I know it's Mario, but which Mario? I never.
It is Mario World.
One of the Marios.
That's from the Mario.
It's from the Marios,
right?
The Mario.
Mario, yeah, it's
Marios.
from the Mario.
Oh yeah, the Mario, don't you know?
Don't you know the Marios?
That's what you guys sound like to me.
It's you. All right, let's talk a little PS5. We, as we record today, it's a Thursday. It is June 11th, and earlier today, PS5 had Sony had a little event where they got to release some information on the PS5. We got our first look at the design, what it looks like, a little bit of the specs, and a good handful of the initial releases. Since he's so excited to talk Resident Evil, I'm going to throw it to Sean first, and at least let's talk about how it looks. It is definitely different than anything we've seen when it comes to a video game console.
Well, they definitely moved away from that sort of blockish look that Xbox loves so much. PS4's kind of been changing their shape a little bit more, but it's a little out there for me. I mean, it kind of comes off as an art piece, which I guess is nice, but only if it fits like the aesthetic of how you have your, gaming setup going. Like it draws a bit too much attention for my tastes, but then again, I don't have one sitting in my living room to kind of compare what it would look like, but it comes off as artsy to me.
Well,
and maybe that's just me.
Generally, we're used to kind of, for the most part, I mean, consoles are generally black, right? They kind of fit into the aesthetic of a room. I guess not. They're not trying to stand out as much, right? I guess that's kind of the idea. So, I mean,
it's kind of like a computer. It's just a rectangular prism. It's there. It makes a lot of noise and gets hot, and you have fun. But this thing is, I don't know. It kind of, I like it, but at the same time, it's kind of, I guess for lack of a better term, alienish looking.
That's exactly what I thought when I saw it. I mean, that
okay,
it's kind of got that it's the the inside of it's a bit black, but then the kind of the white surrounding it like like an opposite Oreo cookie, but it's kind of
there's a reverse Oreo. Put some respect on that.
It's a reverse Oreo. Excuse me. I do get that feeling though, right? It's kind of futuristic, more. I don't know what they're. I almost get that Dubai. I have a ton of money to spend. Let me just make this thing look fancy for the sake of fancy,
Burj
right?
Khalifa.
Yeah, right. I don't know if anybody else has got any opinions on the look or anything like that.
I just think it's really strange. Like, it looks really good vertically. Like, in that vertical orientation, it looks really good. I'm looking at it and I'm like, how does this thing sit on its side? Because I think a lot of people will be putting this, in a cabinet under their TV or wherever. Not as many people have it vertically oriented. This thing, like you said, it looks like a tower when it's vertically oriented. It has those big wings that kind of come off the top. It just looks, I see a couple pictures here of it on its side. It just looks kind of strange. And I mean, those wings, that to me just screams like you're going to get caught on something, any kind of cord or anything is going to get caught on, and thing's going to go toppling over. So, but yeah, it's an interesting look for sure. They definitely did not follow, like you guys said, they didn't follow that rectangular prism kind of standard that's been set by the industry. It is something else.
Well, and the Xbox for the new Xbox is coming out is, from what we've seen of the pictures of those, it looks more like a PC for the most part. I mean, it's basically just a square block, right? It seems like they're trying to go towards more of this I don't know, vertical look rather than laying flat like it used to. I don't know, Adam, maybe this is the case, but I think some of these, they're trying to make it more of a statement piece and something you're going to be using for more than just video gaming, I think, at some point.
Yeah, I agree. I kind of agree with everybody where it's like, it's an interesting look. Like, I don't know if I hate it or love it either way. I'm neutral until I try it. And I think the look of how it looks now is a lot better than some of those teaser guesses that people are putting out for what it could have looked like. So if you're looking at different concepts, it's like, I don't mind this. It's like it's trying to be a PC, a mini PC here, and you have to, I don't understand how you would lay this down. And I think that's just how we've gotten used to with the console, is you lay it down. I remember I stood up my PS2, my Xbox 360, and it was always a hassle. There's not space for it. So, and if it ever tipped over, I'd be freaking out. Something's broken, and I could see that happening with this. And with, I've seen the guesses of what the price is going to be, and, in line. It kind of goes up with escalation of what like PS4 and Xbox One were. Like it makes sense, and like I don't want, if it's roughly about $500, I don't want to stand that vertically and risk it falling over. Like Dan, we have cats, and my cats are all over the place. They're gonna knock this thing over immediately. My one climbs on my current PS4, and I have to try and get her off it. Like that part would worry me. The controller, it looks like it's pretty similar, but pretty cool. Like I wouldn't know until how it fits my hands. I've always preferred a PS4 controller, or not PS4 controller, but a PlayStation controller compared to Xbox. That's just my preference. But it's a cool looking design. Like it does draw my eye. Like, oh, that's cool. But like actually using it, I would not be a fan if I have to stand this thing vertically, because I think I can be a little bit more protected with an actual like for a PC versus this.
So let's talk a little specs. I'm going to go to Drew since he loves his specs and loves his data. He's looking it up right now real quick. Console.
Yeah, it's super fast. It's super fast. It refreshes real good.
Supposedly, yeah. It turns over, 8-bit images. It's going to be awesome. They're using AMD's, processors and things like that, which is probably, pretty common, I think, for everything. But they're, how that's going to compare. I mean, we've seen some of the previews of that 8K, imagery that the PS5 could do. I don't know if you've seen that video, which is pretty awesome, but I think the big thing is really going to be that solid state drive that they're putting in there. It's certainly going to help help read times, and from what it sounds like, all games are basically going to have to be downloaded to the solid state drive in order for it to work properly too.
Yeah,
that's kind of the PS4 is. Like you have to install your games. So
that's that's kind of just how it's changed. The disc is useless now. You can just download it anyway. Digital download.
That's how all of them are. Even the Switch, right? You get those little cartridges, but you wish you hadn't. You wish you just bought it with a digital, because then you don't have to worry about it. And I think you're right, Dan. I think the SSD is a huge game changer for consoles in general. The PC world has had them for a long time, and it's just nice to see that those are finally coming to consoles. The spinning disk drives are out.
It's so much quieter.
Yeah. It's so much faster, so much quieter. It's cooler at the end of the day. It's interesting that PlayStation or Sony went with a slightly smaller one, 825. I think from what I've read, it seems like it's kind of a proprietary size or something that they've done to end up with 825 versus a 1 terabyte that's going to be in the Xbox. I think that's going to be, it could be to their detriment, but at the same time, I guarantee you there's going to be plenty of add-on cards and additional drives that you're going to be able to buy for this thing. Right. Hell, I guarantee you're going to be able. You might even be able to just plug in an off-the-shelf, external drive. Who knows?
Well, how fast is that going to fill
Sony
up?
and Microsoft, maybe not, but
yeah, you got exclusive ones.
So I think from a processor standpoint, between these two at least, they look pretty similar. 3.5 gigahertz versus 3.8. They're both the same generation AMD, processors. I have heard that they're doing some unique things with thermals between the Xbox and the PlayStation. I think this is accurate. That the Xbox is actually going with a standard clock speed. They're not going to have any turbo on their clock, and they're just going to say it is what it is. 3.8 gigahertz, done. Whereas the PlayStation will actually be able to turbo up and kind of make use of some extra fans, spin some fans up, make use of their extra thermal overhead. So you might see some better performance, but you also might get more fan noise. So it's interesting to hear the kind of differences that they're going with between the two companies there. Which one's going to be better? It's really going to come down to when we see it and when it comes out. I mean, I think anytime you're talking consoles, it really comes down to exclusives, right? I think from a specs perspective, they are very similar. I don't think there's going to be a ton difference between the specs. They're both coming out at the same time. They're going to have the same hardware. So it's going to come down to exclusives in that standpoint.
Well, not necessarily exclusive, but let's talk a little bit about the games that they have demoed and showed us a little bit about. I'll run through a couple, and then I'm going to turn to Sean right away because I know he wants to talk about this one, and I'll say it last. But a couple of the ones we saw, at least ones that I'm excited about for sure, is Ratchet and Clank Rift
Oh,
Apart,
yeah.
because I love Ratchet and Clank. That was one of the exclusives that I love for the PlayStation. I was really kind of hoping they maybe do another Uncharted, but I don't know if that's going to happen because I know the story kind of ended. But not necessarily exclusives, but Gran Turismo 7, we saw Godfall, Demon's Souls remake, Ghostwire Tokyo. They're going to do an upgraded version of Grand Theft Auto 5. I'm not sure exactly what the upgraded version is, but you get it for free if you had it for the PlayStation 4.
Give them more money.
So, yeah, pretty much it, right?
Shark cards. Keep getting them shark cards.
They're doing another Sackboy, which is pretty interesting. Well, I guess it was Little Big Planet, but they're going to do one specifically for Sackboy.
It's a good nickname. I like that.
Sackboy, is that what you want to be? I'm calling you the Cooler. I still like the Cooler for you.
The Cooler?
Yeah. You're AC. You're the Cooler.
Yeah.
Oh,
I go with AMC, but that's copyright, so strike that. Don't do it.
They showed us a little bit about NBA 2K21, which will be coming out. But let's talk a little bit of Resident Evil 8. One of your favorites, Sean.
Now you're talking.
What are you're looking forward to this one? How big is this one on your radar?
If it comes out at launch, that's the first game I'm going to buy. Like, that's just it. I mean, I bought the all the Resident Evil remakes they put out for the PS4, including Resident Evil 3, which they made a lot better than the original, so that was kind of cool. Biohazard was a step back towards that horror element that they had kind of clung to in 0 through 4, and then 5 got into kind of the military, shooter type stuff. But this 8 kind of seems like it's going to be a lot like 4, where it's a small village, you're not familiar with the locals, it's really fucking creepy, you don't really know what's going on, but then shit hits the fan. And that's kind of the formula for Resident Evil that works for me.
I don't know. Has anybody else played Resident Evil? Anybody big fans of Resident Evil here?
no.
I haven't played, but I am one of the people that I really enjoy gameplays and other people content. And I have watched a lot of playthroughs, especially on the remakes for PlayStation. So, when you're speaking, Resident Evil 4 and how, you're in this little... That's the one where you're kind of, backwoods
You're
out
in
there.
Spain, yeah. Like the Catalonia mountain area.
And so, watching those playthroughs, I could see how I could enjoy those kind of games. But that's the type of game where someone editing it, cutting it down, and I get to see, clips of it. I'm like, this is still really good, but I don't have the time commitment. It looked clips-wise, it looks good. But I think a lot of these games look good until, it's the theatrical version, right, of these games. So they always look really good until you actually see what it looks like.
I'm definitely interested in this one for sure. I'm not a huge Resident Evil fan. I played Resident Evil 2, which I liked, and then I did play Resident Evil 4 was outstanding. It was super fun, and I'm not the biggest on horror, but that one wasn't necessarily so over the horror genre that it made it too horrifying. It was actually a really good just third person game to play. So it was it was pretty awesome, and I really enjoyed that one. And if that's the case with 8, that it's with being at Resident Evil Village that they're kind of calling it, I think is if they're kind of going back to similar to Resident Evil 4, I'd be super interested, and I would love to get this one, which will be tough because I don't know if I want to get a PlayStation 5 because I'm trying to move more to PC games, but it sucks because I love a lot of the PlayStation exclusives, so it's going to be tough for me to say goodbye to console gaming. So I'm sure at some point I will pick up a PlayStation 5. It's just a matter of when.
I mean, the funny
same boat as you. I'd say, I was going to say I'm in the same boat as you, where it's I play PlayStation 4 the most, and I'm it's gonna if there are a lot of these games that I would be very interested in playing. If those come out when the console comes out, then I'm gonna buy it. If not, then I can hold off, wait till maybe a deal at some point when prices go down, or they give you a couple games with the console. But it's gonna be a big decision come end of this year of what to do with this coming out.
So one other game I just wanted to touch base on as well is if for those who have the PlayStation, I don't know if you played the Spider-Man that had just come out a few years ago, but Spider-Man Miles Morales looks absolutely insane. I am ridiculously excited for this game because I loved that Spider-Man game. If you ever played the Batman Arkham Asylums, it's to the point of the fighting style and things like that. It is basically that type of fighting style, but put yourself in Spider-Man's shoes. It's
so fluid,
ridiculously good,
amazing. And I need to finish it. That Spider-Man game is amazing. Like sitting over New York, right, and just seeing the whole landscape, and just being like the sun coming down, and then you're swinging through buildings. Like that alone makes that game fun. And then it's like Arkham Asylum, which I love. So I saw that. That's the first clip I saw today, and I was like, I need to play that game.
And if you didn't play that game, what are you doing with your life? Sorry, as long as you have a PlayStation. As long as they have a PlayStation.
Don't alienate people.
I wish that game would come out on other consoles or anything else because it was just so fun. And the story is like just ridiculously good on top of it, and it introduces you get the side quests of playing as Miles in that game, and then as well as Mary Jane doing a few things too, which gave you some different elements, and it was just so cool because it wasn't just necessarily straightforward linear. You had all these different things that happened in the game too, and just the ending of that game was so ridiculous.
Fuck Taskmaster. And continue.
Yeah. The battles with the Goblin and everything, and Vulture and stuff. God, it was just so good. I don't even know. But yeah, watching that trailer, that's the one that's got me the most excited for this console. Yeah. I don't know what else to say.
Say no more. Say no more.
Okay. Well, I think we've talked enough about that. Go check it out. If you haven't looked at the specs or anything yet, if you're deciding between the two different consoles, like Drew said, it kind of comes down to, I guess, your preferences to exclusives and things like that, because it's going to be hard to decide if you can't get both, which most people can't, and especially in the world right now, it ain't going to happen. If let's say you guys had to choose, I know Drew's more of a PC guy, but exclusive wise, you got certain games that come out for the Xbox, certain games that come out for the PlayStation. What do you lean towards the most when it comes to the games?
I think for me, it's PlayStation. I mean, I'm just trying to rack my brain for the exclusives that would come out in Xbox that I couldn't miss, and I can't really think of any. But, like when you're talking Spider-Man and Last of Us 2 and some other things that are definitely going to be coming out on PlayStation, I don't know. It'd be hard to go another way for me.
Adam, what are you thinking?
Agreed. I think, if this was like many years ago when Gears and Halo were at their prime for me, where I really enjoyed them, I could see myself thinking differently. But how I play games now, like that Spider-Man game alone would eat up most of my time. Last of Us, like what Drew just said, comes out actually, I think it's in like 5 days or something. I think it comes out in June, right? So Last of Us 2, like I loved Last of Us. So Uncharted is another one. Like I've played way more time into exclusives for PlayStation than I have Xbox, and I'm kind of loyal, I feel like, to PlayStation, where that's just what I pick. Especially, I have a lot more friends that play it, so if I were to play games with someone, it's going to be on PlayStation.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on the same boat. I mean, like they said, The Last of Us, Spider-Man, Resident Evil, and the games that share property like Grand Theft Auto are going to be on both anyway. And it's I agree. It's Xbox has exclusives, but PlayStation has God of War and everything else that it's just like he's right. There's really no shining property that they have since, Halo and Gears. Like, I just really haven't been interested in what Xbox has been coming up with. But like I said, for the cross-platform games, I mean, you can get GTA 6 on either of them when it comes out, and I'd rather have a PlayStation so I can have everything else to go along with it.
Yeah, it's a tough one for me because I prefer the Xbox controller, but the only thing I like on the Xbox is Halo at this point, and I know there's going to be a new Halo coming out. But the opportunity that's going to be released on PC as well, thanks to Microsoft, makes me just go, I got a PC, I can play it on there, I'm good to go.
Yeah.
I miss Uncharted, I miss the Spider-Mans, I miss, all those types of games that are PlayStation exclusives that there's just more on there. And like you said, the Grand Theft Auto, which is, the granddaddy of them all for all of us, it sounds like, is, not exclusive to any console. So, it doesn't matter to me. I'd be a PlayStation 5 guy for sure. I'm sure I'll pick it up just for the fact that I want to play Spider-Man and any the exclusives that do come out for it. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm definitely going to get one, much like I used to get consoles just to play the new Zelda game that came out. So
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yep. All right, so I think we'll call it a day for episode 1 of A Winner Is You. I appreciate all you guys being here. You got any last words before we call it a night?
Bye.
Take that as a no.
Perfect.
All your base are belong to us?
The thing that popped into my head was stay thirsty, my friends, and I don't think we can say that. So no. That's what I got. Bleep that whole thing. Just keep thirsty.
Well, I didn't write down the time, so I'm just going to leave it in there. That's the way we're going to go. So just to close things out, if you want to follow this show, you can catch it on thechairshot.com. We will be dropping most likely every Friday at noon Central. If you want to check us out, you can follow us on Twitter. It will be at my Twitter, at It's Me DPP, where I will post all things A Winner Is You and all things gaming. So follow me at It's Me DPP. You can also find us on Facebook at facebook.com/A Winner Is You. That's the letter U. A Winner Is You. And follow thechairshot.com. Go to www.thechairshot.com. We are all over that as well for all your wrestling needs, all your entertainment needs, sports, other nerdy podcasts that we do. I'm also on the Bandwagon Nerds. Make sure you check that out. Chairshot Radio Network. And I think that is all. Or you could also go to prowrestlingtees.com/thechairshot and get yourself fantastic shirts about the Chairshot and different things of that nature. Maybe we can all talk and come up with a fun design that we can put out there for gaming. I think that would be fun. I'm sure people would enjoy that as well. So we can't use that. That's PlayStation.
Just flip the letters or the characters around.
There you go. We can do it.
They'll never know.
Just flip the sides.
There you go. So that'll do it for episode 1 of A Winner Is You. Thank you for listening. And always remember, it is dangerous to game alone. Take us.
That's a topic I definitely want to talk about is the Nintendo Switch. Just keep that in mind because you still can't buy one unless you want to spend like $1,000. So
Really?
Yeah, they're not in stock. They don't have any. As soon as quarantine hit and stuff, they went out of stock and they haven't had them in stock since consistently. So like I've been wanting one, can't buy one.
$800. I'll give you a deal. You can have mine.
Yeah.
That's like the deal on Amazon. Someone posts one for $800, and
All
I
right,
can't
$750.
believe that they're selling.
I'll do $750. I mean,
All right,
I'm an honest guy.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm gonna wait till Best Buy has it for $2.99, and then I'm gonna go jump on it.
My brother's coming over Saturday with get to see my nieces and nephews for the first time in months, for God's sakes. But I've let him borrow my Nintendo Switch for quite a while here because I didn't need it, and now I want it back because Super Mega Baseball 3 just came out, and if you ever played Super Mega Baseball, it is the best goddamn baseball game ever, and I play it on the Switch because then I can sit on the couch. It's oh yeah, like it's ridiculously it's like simulation meets arcade. Like if you like not MLB The Show, but not RBI baseball. It's
right.
It's right in the middle,
nice
and it's
mix.
awesome, and everything is customizable. Like it doesn't have like the real player names and stats and all that stuff, but it has all it has 30 teams, and you just rename them. You can change the logos, change the colors, and change every player name, every stat, and just make your own team. So I had the Brewers, and I had everybody in there, and it's just awesome. It's like everything's ridiculously customizable. It's the best baseball game I've ever played.
I don't think I've really played baseball games. I've always kind of been interested. But I picked one up.
Yeah, they're a lot more realistic, I'd say.
That's why I like this one. Grumpy?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not...
there's been a handful of baseball games that aren't, it's arcade, but baseball that I really enjoy, like what you just said, Dan. And, I kind of, like with the show, it's like every 2 years I'll want to buy it all of a sudden for some reason, and then that's kind of my rhythm with that, because it's too realistic.
It's too realistic. I'm not that good at baseball either, but I wanted something a little more than just, RBI baseball where it's, send the pitch down the middle and take a swing, but, this one has a little more options, but it's still novice enough that I can play it.
Did you keep up with the MLB The Show World Series that they put on? Like the actual MLB? Yeah, so during quarantine, they had a bunch of players who play MLB The Show, have a World Series playoff against each other. Mm-hmm. And Joey Gallo, one of the sluggers for the Rangers, went 11-0 for the first 11 games, and then I think came in second for the finals. But apparently he's a phenom when it comes to playing that game.
Wow.
But he's been playing all of them since the beginning. I don't remember what the old games were, but yeah, he's been playing baseball video games his whole life. Nice. And that was his moment to shine, and he failed.
What a jerk.
Can't handle it on the big stage.
Wait, hang on, I gotta think for that.
What a pansy.
There you go. That's awesome.
That's kind of the thing that all sports are doing too.
NASCAR's
I've seen for Madden, I've seen for 2K,
NBA 2K,
which
for
is
sure.
crazy.
NBA.
I watched Snoop Dogg play against Hollywood Brown in Madden in the finals, and the final score was 60-something to 50-something. It was nuts. I was like, Snoop Dogg's really good at Madden.
Got nothing else to
I
do.
assume he has a lot of time on his hands.
Yeah. Probably stoned. That's the only way he can play.
No,
Most
he
likely.
doesn't do that.
Yeah, I think he gave that up for Lent.